Shalom Aleichem everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful week. This week is Parashat Vayerah, and I got a lot of good feedback from some of the listeners about the word that I said in the name of my wife. So this week I want to share another idea in the name of my wife. And here I'm not going to focus on the Parsha, I want to focus on the Haftorah of Parashat Vayerah, which tells over some of the stories of Elisha Hanavi, and I want to focus on the second story, which is the story of the Isha Hashunamit. And I'm going to quickly give an overview of the Perek, and then kind of highlight what I think is a very, very important message. So we're told that Elisha was the Gadol Hador, used to travel from place to place, and there was this woman, an anonymous woman. Her name, she was an Isha Gdolah, and she was involved in a lot of different communal affairs, and one of the things she wanted to do is because the Navi Elisha was always traveling through, so she told her husband, who is also anonymous, Isha, she tells her husband, listen, the Ish HaElokim, Kadoshu, is always around town. Let us build for him an attic upstairs, a room upstairs. We'll put there a bed, a shulchan, a kisei, a menorah, and anytime he passes through, he can stay by us, and that's exactly what he does, and he always stays by them. So first of all, a link to our parasha, tremendous hachnasas orchim. We find by Avram Avinu goes out of his way, tremendous hachnasas orchim. Here we find the same exact thing, an exceptionally expressive form of hachnasas orchim. And Elisha wants to do something for this family, for the Isha Shunamit. He sends his servant, Gehazi, what can we do? And her answer is, we're good. We have everything we need. Should I speak to the king, to the Sar Tzava, to the generals? Can I do anything? No, we're good. Everything we have, we need. And then Gehazi tells the Elisha, well, one thing they don't have a child. There's no child. And Elisha tells Gehazi, tell them that even though she's ben Emav Isha Zakein, similar to our parsha, nevertheless be aware that Lamoed Hazeh Ke'et Chaya At Choveket Bein. This time next year, you'll have a child. Very similar to our parsha, a Besorah message given by a Malach Hashem, a messenger, a Navi Hashem, that next year, this time, you will have a child. And her response to that information, Al techazeh b'shivchatei. Do not make fun of me. Do not mock me. I'm an old lady. How can I have a child? Same exact thing. And sure enough, Vatar ha'isha v'ateled bein. She has a child. Lamoed hazeh ke'et chaya, exactly as was promised by Elisha. Very striking. Next pasuk. Vayigdal hayelad, the child grows up, goes out to the fields with his father, complains to his father, Roshi, I have a terrible headache. Father brings the child back to his mother. Vayisi'eu vayvi'eu el imo. Vayoshev al birkeha. She takes him on her lap. Vayamos. And he dies. Striking. She goes ahead and takes her dead son, puts him on the bed in the attic, Elisha's bed. She calls to her husband, says, hurry up, bring me a donkey, bring me some na'arim, bring me some servants. We gotta move, we gotta run. I have to run to the Ish HaElokim and see how he can help us. Why do you want to run to the Ish HaElokim? What happened? What happened? The husband is oblivious to everything, but she feels she's gotta run, go. Vayoratz. Again, very reminiscent. And here they had this son after not having children, and now the son's taken away, very reminiscent to what we find in our parsha, the parsha of the Akedah. So she's going to run to Elisha. Listen to this pasuk. Vatachavosh ha'aton. She saddles the donkey. Vayachavosh Avram es chamoro. Vayashma Avram boker vayachavosh chamoro. Very similar. She rushes frantically to Elisha. Rutzna lekrasa, she runs to him. And the pasuk describes vatechazek baraglav, she grabs his legs to the point that she's frantic. Gehazi, Elisha's servant, tries to push her off. And Elisha says, let her be. Let me hear what she has to say. And she explains what happens to her son. And Elisha tells Gehazi, grab my staff, let's go. Let's go see what happened. And they rush, and they go up. Vayakam, he goes up into his room, sees the child, and the Navi concludes that Elisha basically prostrated himself on the child, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands, and the child's body starts to warm up. It starts to revitalize. And ultimately, Vayifkach Hanar et Enav, and the child's eyes are opened up. Gehazi, Elisha, bring the child to his mother. Vatavo vatipel al ragla vatishtachahu arza vatisa es beno vatetse. That's the end of the parak. Very, very similar to what we have in our parasha, but I think also some things that are very different. First thing I want to point out is the anonymity of this parasha, of this Navi, is very striking. We don't know her name, we don't know the father's name, we don't know the child's name, although Chazal say that this child grew up to be Chabakuk Hanavi, from the lashon of Choveket. We don't know, it's very anonymous. Secondly, we have a number of akarot in our tradition. Sarah was an akara, only has a child at the age of 90. Rivka was an akara, couldn't have children. Finally, after tremendous prayers, she has children. Rachel couldn't have children. She demands and beseeches of Yaakov and of Hashem, please allow me to have a child. Chana can't have children. She davens tearful prayers. Vayechshaveh Eli kishikora. And finally she says, if I get a child, I will dedicate that child to Hashem, as a Navi Hashem. The mother of Shimshon, Eshes Manoah, couldn't have children. She too pines for a child and dedicates that child, Mirechem, as a Nazir Hashem. And then we have the Isha Shunamit. And there's a very, very striking contrast between the Isha Shunamit and all of these other akarot in our tradition. With respect to all the other mothers, they so badly wanted a child. They tried and they tried and they tried and they davened and they davened and they davened and they dedicated that child in such profound ways, whether it was Yitzchak or Yaakov, Yosef and Binyamin, or Shmuel or Shimshon, whoever it was, they dedicated their children's lives to service of Hashem. They so badly wanted children. Isha Shunamit, when she was asked by Elisha, what can I help you with? What do you need? Her response was, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to visit the king. I'm good. I'm wealthy. I'm an Isha Gdola. I have everything that I need. And nevertheless, she's given a child. And when we see her involvement with the child, not so much, very ordinary, very regular. Vayigdal hayeled, nothing special, nothing unique. And then from one day to the next, that child is taken away. She loses that child in an instant. And then there's a dramatic shift in the Isha HaShunamit. Everything changes. Now she rushes into action. She rushes, she moves, vayoratz. She becomes that zariz. She'll do anything to save her child. Frantically she rushes to the Navi. Frantically she grabs him, she shakes him, help me, help me. She'll do anything. And indeed, as a result of her sacrifice, her own Akedas Yitzchak, just like Yitzchak has a Tchias HaMesim, from being a Korban, he is now reborn. So the Yeled of the Isha Shunamit, he too has this rebirth. She's given that child, she thanks the Navi, Vatisa es benava tetzeh. This is a critical lesson over here. And perhaps the reason that this story is written to us in this anonymous way, we don't know who the Isha is, who her husband is, in the Pshuta Shemekra who the child is. It's because this is, if you will, every man. This relates to every single one of us. Because all too often, when we go through life, we go through our relationships, we take our loved ones for granted. We take the people in our lives, we take our health, we take the money that we have, we take our homes, our jobs, our yeshivas, our rabbi, everything we take for granted. And sometimes we get a wake-up call. And sometimes we experience it being taken away from us. Sometimes, here in this story, Rahman al-Atzlan, the child is lost. And all of a sudden, she realizes, as we say in Hebrew, nafala et ha'asimon. She realized, oh my gosh, I love my child, and now he's gone. And she shifts into a whole new modality of action, of appreciation. I'll do anything for him. And as the Navi describes, she raised that child very differently thereafter, and he became himself a Navi Hashem. So a lesson for every single one of us is we have loved ones in our lives. We have things that we don't fully appreciate that we should appreciate. I just shared with some of the boys that I remember vividly, we got a bracha in my family that my mother, who at the end of her life had a severe illness, and we knew that she was with us, but she wasn't going to be with us for long. So we had that opportunity to really appreciate, at least in those last 6, 8, 10 months of her life, everything about her, the time we had. We knew it was limited. It was staring us in the face that the time was limited. And the reality is that for every single one of us, in every one of the relations we have, it's finite, it's limited, it's not perpetual. And there's a fundamental lesson that this Navi, that this Haftorah is teaching us, is that appreciate the things that you have. She got lucky, the Shashim. It was taken away and it was brought back to her. She never wanted a child. She never really felt a need, but now that she had it, she didn't take it. She took it for granted. She took the child for granted, and now that she lost it, she'll do anything to have it back. So the lesson for us is to appreciate. For boys in yeshiva, appreciate your time in yeshiva. Appreciate the days that you have learning, because it's not forever. Those days, when you get to the workplace, you're going to be remembering them fondly from your rear view mirror. Husbands and wives, appreciate the time you have. Appreciate your children when they're young, when they're living by you. Appreciate parents. They're not here forever, unfortunately. Appreciate the things in our lives, because, again, never ever take things for granted. Have a wonderful Shabbos.